Joining us next is Don Wilson. Don is from Tualatin Valley Water District in Oregon. TVWD was faced with some challenges when it came to the process of their chain of custody. Don is going to show us some cool streamlined workflows for reporting processes. Don, we will go ahead and let you take it from here.
All right, good morning, and I'll try to make this cool. All right, Tualatin Valley Water District is located actually in Beaverton, Oregon. We're about 10 minutes southwest of Portland, Oregon. We serve, as you see, just over 215,000 customers, have approximately 128 full-time employees. I have about 11 departments using Cityworks, some more than others, some simply dashboards, other ones a lot of field crew. Number of employees, it's approximately 50 as you see, and we've been a user since 2014. Most of the, a lot of changes have been made the last couple years. One of the really cool things that we're working on is we're partnering with the cities of Hillsborough and Beaverton, as you see, to source water from the Mid-Willamette River down in Wilsonville, about 20-25 miles south. This is scheduled to be operational in 2026, and there'll be about 30 miles of water pipelines, water storage tanks, and we'll have a new water filtration plant, so we'll be starting to work with vertical assets soon. The challenge we had is chain of custody. First of all, the definition is the fact that water quality samples have to be taken. There's about 4 elements, which we'll get to, that have to be taken on a daily basis and submitted to the lab that same day with specific requirements. So the chain of custody has to be done that day. So the way it was being handled is SharePoint was used with individual spreadsheets on laptops. People were assigned specific sample stations or hydrants to go to. They couldn't veer off of that. At the end of the day, it was a manual process to pool all of these or collect all of this information together, get it together in one spreadsheet, manually create an email, and get it to the lab. After the fact, reporting was virtually impossible because only one person knew all of their processes and where to collect all of this information together. So that really limited it. The solution that worked on with water quality is about 5 different segments. First of all, I created a dashboard within Cityworks so that they could use that as their process hub. Second, created a recurring work order with all of the sample stations and hydrants on it that would recur weekly. Third, as the work order was created with, I believe it's about 170 sample stations on it, would automatically create the inspections. I'll show you how to do that if you do not know. Then fourth, we incorporated and focused on optimizing Cityworks Mobile to collect the data. And last, the solution I came up with was a macro-enabled Excel spreadsheet to grab all this information, to document it for the users, to keep historical information. And I'll go into each one of these in more depth. This macro-enabled spreadsheet does 3 specific things. It guides the user through running the report, which grabs all of the mobile data collected. It imports that information, allows the user to verify it, and then creates an email to via Outlook. Okay, the first step here is a simple dashboard. You'll see the user goes into their dashboard, this titled Water Quality RTCR Monitoring. Revised Total Chlorine Residual is what that stands for. There's one recurring work order, as you see here. It's open, it has all of the hydrants and sample stations attached to it. The left panel shows things that are open. that have not been mobile complete yet, and the right panel basically populates. So in real time, the administrator can come in here and see on the left panel how many are left to do, and as soon as they mark it mobile complete in the field, it populates on this right screen. So basically when the left screen is empty and the right screen is full, everything's done, and then that signals them to go ahead and start the process. The recurring work order, simply a Cityworks recurring work order. It has, you see hydrants here. There are hydrants that are used as sample stations as well as sample stations, and you see there's 173 on there. And you'll also notice that it's repeats every week based on the projected start date. So as soon as they close this, it will open up for next Monday and sign all the assets. The trick is inside the system, within the designer, within Cityworks, you can go into the actual work order template. As you see here, the RTCR monitoring, go to the inspections tab, associate it with a specific, in this case, like named inspection, and simply select this auto create. So as soon as the work order is created, the inspections are done. No one has to manually go in and possibly accidentally pick the wrong inspection. Okay, now on the Cityworks mobile side, the legend is key. Operators know the first thing they do is when they go out, they may be doing different projects. Legends are specific to each individual, and those are all set up for them. As you can see, they want to do inspection and they want to do RTCR monitoring. And also it says open here. I'll show you a trick later. These are all of the open inspections. Fairly daunting, but there's a lot of them and they have to be done. These RTCR monitoring will have to be done, some of them every day. And then at the end of the month, there's approximately 150 that have to go to the lab. So let's go ahead. I just pretended like I hit locate. Now I just see one inspection and you see it says RTCR monitoring. You notice also quickly on there, it says SS158. We augmented the location field in the GIS data to have the sample station number in front. The field crew really likes the fact that when they press the button, they know where they're at because the sample station is clearly labeled with SS158. And then they just launch into the observations on the inspection. This is just a basic Cityworks inspection. Inside the inspection, it has 4 questions. CL2 is total chlorine, and you'll notice in parentheses is the range. Excuse me, I put the range in there just to make it clear to the user what it is, but within Cityworks mobile observations, I'm running mobile version 8.5. The max and the min work very well, so this is a filled out form. Also, if you remember, I had SS158 as part of the location. One of the requirements or one of the needs of the crew is they wanted to be able to find a particular inspection without necessarily being next to it. So they can go into the inbox within Cityworks Mobile. And as you see here, I started to type in SS2 and it immediately filters out and shows me SS25, SS26, etc. So that was one of their requirements that they wanted for this process. Okay, the 5th part of the solution which ties it all together. This is a read-only chain of custody form that we water quality designed with the lab. And this is basically the form that I put into Excel and then created hyperlinks. These 3 hyperlinks are in order the way they are. Documentation right on the screen to help the crew if they don't use it. All 4 of the water quality people can use this form, and they've all submitted successfully and like it. The first button is just simply going to link to our SSRS system and allow them to put in a pull a report. The second one simply loads the information and populates this form, which you'll see in a moment. And the third one simply takes that information and submits an email to the lab. Okay, the first step, they simply put in the date and run the report. Then they hit export, and it's automatically exported to, we're using Windows 10, so it just automatically exports it to your My Downloads folder. After they click load, as you see, this is the form we saw earlier. It populates all the information. It has the date and the time. All these are required fields for the chain of custody, the person who sampled it, the location number. You see this information, it all comes in. The administrators or whoever is running this report looks at it, sees that they have 23 that they've collected today. They've got 140 for the month. So if they have 152 to do before the end of the month, they know they have 12 more to do, and then they simply click submit. Submit takes that information, creates an attachment as you see here, names it, very standard naming convention, sends it to 2 people at the lab, a specific contact and their central mail server, and then copies every single person within the water quality department. You'll notice here, I'll refer to it later, this person retired. So obviously, I didn't catch that until I did this presentation. So follow-up is a good thing. If everything looks good, the operator simply just hits yes. If no, they can do the process over. So at any point, they can cancel the process, no harm, no foul. Once they click submit, it automatically creates another Excel spreadsheet within SharePoint and basically shows the submission history. So they can go back at any point in time and find out the date and time that they actually submitted. Quick look at the SharePoint site. Has every single submission, so they can go in and look at the specific attachment at any time. The actual template that they open, the macro enabled spreadsheet that they open, I like it to stay on top, so I named it with an exclamation mark, just a little trick that you probably all know. And it also has a summary of all the submissions. Okay. But lots of benefits, time savings, just tons of time savings from both the collection and the accumulation and email of the information. The accuracy, now that we have mins and maximums, accuracy is just spot on now. Tracking, both from the dashboard standpoint of watching as things are being done to the actual tracking of the history. Central reporting, anyone can go into the SSRS system and run any data collection for any date range. Every time we have a successful implementation on this, I consider it a great win. It's an additional buy-in for departments that may not be so gung-ho on implementing Cityworks. It's just a positive all the way around, so it works real well. Lessons learned. During the development and immediate follow-up, as soon as we had the green light, the first meeting we had, we made 2 changes to the system. So that's really important. The initial mobile profile, the trick I referred to earlier is I have their mobile profile show them only open inspections. So therefore, you have an inspection, as soon as you mark it mobile complete, it just disappears off the screen. So it's a great little checklist, if you will. Well, sometimes they might have hit mobile complete and need to go back. So I basically revised their mobile profile to show them both open and mobile complete. So at any point during the day, they can go back into their legend, hit mobile profile, mobile complete, and see the ones they've done before and make adjustments before the end of the day. Having a GIS analyst in your back pocket is just crucial. I can't tell you how many times I had to work with a GIS analyst to make little map changes, this and that, we had to make GIS changes, adding station numbers, etc. Periodic follow-up is key. Doing this presentation obviously made me go through the process, and it wasn't until then that I realized that the administrative assistant for water quality had changed since due to a retirement, so I modified my Excel spreadsheet accordingly. What's next for TBWD? We're doing more and more proactive work. We're auto-assigning for recurring work orders so that we're actually ahead of the game as opposed to run to fail, which tended to be easy to do. We're looking at creating map polygons that will basically be overlays, feature sets, so that when an asset is picked, whether it's this new Willamette water supply system or TBWD, the district field within Cityworks will automatically populate with the correct location. So that'll save a lot. I'm working with Power BI for my business intelligence, and I want to do more dashboards, things like that, more mobile solutions. Mobile is really starting to get a foothold here. We're hoping to go to Cityworks Storeroom within the next year or two. We've got a contract with EMA Inc. to work on our asset management practices and get those developed to where they're more seamless with Cityworks. And then it's always a good idea, continued and more frequent training. Last thing is the macro-enabled spreadsheet makes it look easy. It was a lot of hours of figuring out how to send specific code to the modern SharePoint site. It's different if it's the classic SharePoint versus the modern. I'm working with Windows 10. Creating an email with an attachment was a lot of trial and error. I am happy to share that macro-enabled spreadsheet. All you'd have to do is change your locations on your SharePoint site and make a few edits.